Welcome to the Egg Party. What's an egg party? An egg party is an Etsy gathering of goodies. There's an explosion of creativity that comes from Etsy and its shop owners, which is really inspiring. Today we are celebrating the great ideas and businesses that have hatched all across the world. Today's party is taking place in the heart of Central California in San Luis Obispo. We want to give you guys, the Etsy shoppers, a chance to get better acquainted with these wonderful shop owners and their one-of-a-kind products. Here we have Josh Talbot. He's lived in Los Osos for the past 6 years and has quickly become an integral part of the community. Josh, please give us a little bit of background about yourself and tell us what it takes to make one of these paintings.
Well, the toy painting started with the Legos many years ago when I lived in New Orleans. And it was one of those things that came together really organically, and it's sort of how I learned my process. It's putting things together in a confined space and seeing how they fall into relationship with one another. And that's largely how my ideation process proceeds. So this is actually one of the earliest paintings I have here today with Darth Vader and the doll head. Now, it sort of illustrates how people see my work. Like, I'm not telling you anything. I like it better when it's a conversation. So what happens instantly, though, is that you think he cut her head off, of course, right? Well, the name of the painting is The Innocent Bystander for that very reason. It's pointing out that relationship between the viewer and the painting. You guys, whoever you are, the viewers, you tell a story, you know, and you don't even realize it. It seems unfortunate to me, like I hear it more than anything else. People say, I don't have any artistic bone in my body. And it's just not true. Even if it's just the storytelling one, we all have it. And then in addition to these, I've done all kinds of toy paintings, and they often start with, you know, a dinosaur or something sitting in proximity to some other thing, and then before I know it, they're telling a story. And so I encourage them to play. I mean, that's the big part of my work, is stirring imagination and spreading a sense of wonder. And hoping that it encourages people not to take themselves so seriously.
Right.
Yeah, we grow up and then we forget about the playing part, and I think it's a really integral part of being human.
Yes,
So.
These are so fun.
Thank you.
And I was curious about this painting here with the moon.
Well,
What inspired it?
this is the other side. So these are really technically rigorous. They demand a lot of my time and attention, and you can only do that for so long. It'll make you crazy. So I do other paintings that are more whimsical in their application. So these paintings are just about a brushstroke carried out, you know, bringing out the motion of the sea. And there was the blood moon on my birthday this year, and so this painting is called The Birthday Moon. And I do a lot of ocean paintings like this. One large one not too long ago that was called For Love of the Sea, that was to protest seismic testing that was being proposed here on the Central Coast.
Right.
And I've had it on display in a couple of places, and it was in storage for a while, and now it is actually being reborn as a smaller painting, which I'm rather excited about.
Yes, I know about that painting. That's how I found you. How large was that originally?
It was originally 12 by 16 feet, and I painted it in public in front of Giovanni's Fish Market here in Morbay.
Very lovely.
I think so too. You know, there's a lot that I could say about that as far as the content of the painting and the way it all came about. It was a hell of an adventure for sure, and it was one of those things that sort of introduced me to the community in a lot of ways, because I kind of got involved, and yeah, I'm quite proud of it.
And it received media attention, right, which may have helped the cause?
It stirred the pot in a lot of ways. You know, I got disinvited and from some anyway, that's a whole long story.
Okay. Well, we're so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing these beautiful paintings.
Well, thank you, Natalie. Thank you for having me. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you, too. Up next, we're going to have candles and plants to share with you. Welcome back. We're here with Jolene Tench and her beautiful smelling candles, and Steve Super with his lovely plants. Jolene, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
I'm so excited to get to know more about your candles. I already know they smell delicious.
Thank you.
I'd love to know how you got your start and what kind of wax do you use?
Well, first things first is I use 100% soy wax. It's actually a little bit of a cleaner burning wax versus a paraffin wax. Your scent actually lasts a lot longer and is cleaner burning all the way through. Your candles will not soot like your typical paraffin store-bought ones. Still, of course, keep them out of, drafts and away from curtains, because an open flame will cause fire no matter how safe that they want to say that they are. Really, I got my start with my husband. He actually surprised me home and brought me home $500 worth of candle making supplies and said, I think this might be something good for you to do. It gives you a little bit of a hobby, and why not? So 3 years ago, I started my own little hobby and started experimenting with them, the type of wax and the wicks to use and additives and colors and fragrances. And I started giving them away as gifts to my friends and family, and they said, you really have something here. And I was actually told by a local artist about Etsy. So I decided to start taking pictures with my camera phone and started posting them onto Etsy, and that's where JoJo's Candle Company got our start, is right there on Etsy.
On Etsy. And your first year was very successful, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was very successful the first year, just learning so much about the product, and then, being able to interpret that into Etsy, and then resulting in, sales and on my little way of entrepreneurship.
That's great. Now, can you tell us what wax melts are?
Of course. Wax melts are the alternative of burning candles. They are actually a wickless candle. So really, in a sense, they come in a small little box just like this, and there's individual bricks. You just simply open up the little package and you bust out a little brick here. And depending on if you're in a college dorm, which they don't allow typical flamed candles, you can actually use one of our machines. You just simply drop the melt up here, you plug it into the wall, there's a little dial that you can set the intensity of, and it'll just burn and pool, and you'll just have nice smelling fragrance throughout your dorm room or a small bathroom. If you have kids, they're perfect for kids and dogs. So of course keep them out of reach, as they don't want to burn, but and then we also have another alternative where you can actually power the melt by a tea light candle. Okay,
and then you could mix fragrances that way.
Exactly. Right here we actually have our lavender field, and we actually have this is Caribbean coconut up at the top, so if this were lit, it would pool, so then you would get that nice lavender and that Caribbean coconut fragrance in your house. So it sounds great. Really nice.
Which are your most popular fragrances?
Actually, our top 4 are right here. We have our birthday cake candle, which, no joke, smells like a birthday cake. It will make you hungry. I almost guarantee it. Then we have our designers, which is the Victoria's Secret real popular lotion called Love Spell. So it's got that it's light on the perfume, but really just really floral. Nice and floral. And then more of our clean burning scents we have here is our Butt Naked, which we like to say smells more naked than butt. It's actually a custom blend of strawberry, melon, and pear. And then our Nag Champa, which is our real earthy, more earthy fragrance. Our jar candles will actually give you a burn time of 40 to 60 hours. Our tea lights will burn anywhere from up to 8 hours, 8 to 10 hours, and then our votives here will burn anywhere from 25 to 36 hours, and our wax melts, depending on the intensity, will be anywhere from 8 hours to 72 hours.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing these. They smell so good.
I appreciate it.
Glad you were here.
Thank you.
Now, Steve, tell us about your drought-resistant plants.
Well, we are a nursery that specializes in the drought-resistant plants, the water-wise plants, but ones that are a little less common, that you're not going to be able to find just anywhere, a little more rare or unusual, and just kind of trying to share and educate people about the importance of water conservation. I know not everywhere in the country is having a water issue, but we certainly are on the West Coast, and it's a precious resource. And I think it's getting more and more well known that people know that it's not just cacti or ugly spiny things for a drought-tolerant garden, but you can have an amazing, lush, beautiful colored garden without even any flowers. I mean, obviously this Ionium sunburst demonstrates that.
Yes.
There are epiphyllum, which are, they make great hanging baskets. Those flowers range anywhere from 6 to 8 inches up to 12 inches across. And a lot of these will flower throughout summer and winter, so they're great food for the hummingbirds. A lot of the aloes will flower in the winter.
Oh.
So, yeah.
And I know that you created your own succulent, or more than one.
Yeah, that's one thing we like to focus on. I'm a plant breeder, so I like to combine and introduce new plants to the market to make it always exciting and share with fellow plant nuts.
It's an amazing skill.
For instance, was a cross of two crassulas, Crassula alba, which is a very beautiful red spotted crassula, but it's very fragile and it's very difficult to grow, and Crassula falcata, which is a very thick-leafed, sturdy crassula. So I crossed the two and got great results. We got like a perfect 50-50 mix of both of the parents. We've got the thick, super sturdy leaves and the red spots and the red coloring. And what's so wonderful about these is some succulents, they will color up during certain periods of, like maybe summer or winter, but these hold their color year-round.
Right.
And they're proving to be super floriferous. They have huge flower heads about this big on them.
Wow.
They're very cold hardy, so we've been very, very happy with that particular hybrid.
I can see the colors are amazing. So you ship, you said internationally? You ship these?
Yep, we ship across the United States and internationally. We ship a lot to China and Japan, but we will really ship to any country. So we've been doing that for a long time, and we're very skilled at packing. So regardless of whether you live, we can get you a plant that you like. So.
That's amazing. And I'm curious how you got into plants in the first place.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I tell people, I think I was born into it. I can remember as far back as being even 3 years old, and both of my grandmas were huge gardeners, and my grandma Super had this enormous acre yard, and it was flower bed, roses, orchard, and I remember spending what seemed like an entire day in her yard, day after day, and I would disassemble the flowers. I was fascinated with the parts of the flowers. I would take different flowers and put them together, and I guess early stages of hybridizing.
Oh.
But so yeah, it was just a very early obsession with me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. These are gorgeous, and I'm glad that you're doing something that's good for the environment too. It's really good to know.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Up next, we will have fashion designers from Etsy, followed by a fashion show. Hello and welcome back. We're going to have our fashion portion of the egg party, and we'll start with Victoria, who makes really interesting, cool, repurposed fashions from thrift store items. Hi, Victoria.
Hello.
Tell us about what you make and what your plans are in the fashion world.
Well, I start off by just go to the thrift store, and if I see something, I like to see things not for what they are, but like what they could be. Like this was a full-length, floor-length dress, and I made it shorter and added little embellishments.
That's very
And
cute.
yeah, I'm really inspired by prints, different prints, mix-matching different prints. I'm working on these jackets, and I just like the contrasting prints and all works out together.
Very cute. And what are your goals with the fashion industry? I know that you also do creative direction and styling for photo shoots. Like you styled for your friend Sam for her Etsy shop.
Yeah, I like to do photography too, and I try to dabble in a little bit of everything. I think I want to eventually become a creative director, so I feel like eventually knowing a little bit about everything will come together in that way if I find a good job like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fashion shoots are so important for showing your work that I would assume it's a skill that will serve you as you have a career in the industry.
And photographing clothing on people seems to sell more on Etsy too, so it works. It helps with the sales on Etsy as well.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For being here. And next we have Sam. Sam, tell us a little bit about your shop. It's a vintage shop. How did you get started?
It's called Porcelain Matchbox, and yeah, it's all vintage clothing. I've always liked thrifting and stuff. Again, that's also where I pick up most of my items. I just kind of realized that you can find some really great vintage pieces just kind of scattered about your hometowns.
What era inspires you the most? What vintage clothing?
I probably like the 50s. I really like the styles from back then, and like with this outfit, these aren't pieces from the 50s, but you get some of that vibe, and I like how you can mix and match pieces to get that same feeling, and nowadays, you know, old styles are always coming back and people are always looking for great old pieces.
Right. And you mentioned earlier when we were talking that you have been selling to people internationally. What countries have you been selling to?
I've sold to Sweden, the UK, Canada, and it just kind of surprised me that those people are going online to find those vintage pieces. And I do have a lot of stuff that's made in the US. I'm trying to go down that path to where it's only made in the US vintage items. So I think people are coming, you know, onto Etsy to look for that kind of stuff because there are some great quality things.
Oh, that's very smart. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Up next, we have Desi, who makes this lovely, beautiful beaded jewelry. It's just fantastic.
Thank you.
How long have you been making these pieces?
This style, this is called considered bead weaving, and this is bead embroidery. And I've probably been working in this medium for about 5 years. I was originally a painter, and I've always been a rock hound. And the two came together here somehow.
It's like you're painting with beads.
Yes, exactly. And I have a great deal of Native American influence. I have many relatives in Arizona, and I spend time throughout the Southwest. So.
Oh, so you collect the rocks and then you incorporate them into your
Sometimes,
art?
yeah. And I have had friends who cut cabochons for me.
Beautiful. What kind of stone is that one?
This one, I'm not
Do you
sure.
know? Well, that's okay. There's just awesome.
Sometimes I know,
This is
sometimes
turquoise.
I
We
don't.
know that.
Uh-huh.
It's gorgeous. And how has it been for you on Etsy? How do you?
I've been with Etsy almost since the beginning. Well, I've had an active Etsy shop for at least the past 8 years, and they vary. Right now, me and my husband own 3 Etsy shops, but this is my jewelry shop, which is what we're discussing today.
Yes.
And it's great fun. And I also I have customers from all over the world. I just love Etsy. You establish great relationships with your clientele, and it's just a marvelous experience.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you could be a part of this. The jewelry that is in our upcoming fashion show, you'll see, is just worked so nicely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And here we have Isa. She makes surfer beanies, which is being modeled right here, for girls and boys, men and women, with matching mittens, and they're adorable. And I know that she is inspired by the colors of the Central Coast. Can you talk about that?
Well, yes, I've always crocheted, and since I was like 8, I started crocheting, and I always was making beanies for my kids and my kids' friends. And this woman where I work knew that I liked to crochet, and she brought me a bag of ends of skeins of yarn because she's in a knitting club. And I was like, well, what can I do with these? And like what Desi said, it's like somebody gave me a bag of paint, and I thought, well, I'm gonna figure out how to make some mittens. And then I just started making surfer beanies, and they're all named for different things having to do with the ocean. Like this is a beach ball, this is Sea Star, Midnight Surf, Treasure Island, Driftwood, and Morro Bay Harbor. And I just kind of get inspired by the yarn and just decide how I'm going to put the colors together. And I make men's too, guys. A lot of surfers like to wear them, and you can wear them all year round around here on the coast.
Right.
And I like to talk about, and on my site, I like to just talk about a little bit, like I'll talk about Driftwood, or I'll talk about Morro Bay, and just kind of bring it to the Central Coast.
Well, I think they're beautiful, and I can see, being from this area myself, I can see the colors really do look like this area, and I just think it's so cool that you were able to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having
Thanks
me.
to our model.
Yeah, thank you, Lily.
And now we have Brittany. Brittany is an artist. She has done these pieces here, one she's holding and the one behind her, and these leggings, which I think are fabulous.
Thank you.
So tell us, when did you start doing art?
I started doing art when I was around 10 or 11. My family used to do haunted houses in front of our house, and I began doing some of the decorations for them. I would help my mom, and I just started painting from there, did it in high school, and I ended up actually putting some of these pieces in a gallery actually here in SLO, Art Central in Monterey.
Oh, how great.
Yeah, so that was a really great transition for me. It was awesome.
Yes. How did you do this one? What kind of medium did you use?
This is done in Prismacolor pencils, or like a soft core pencil that creates a very, very smooth texture, and it almost does look like paint. It's very, very flawless. I love working in Prismacolor. It's probably my favorite medium.
Very interesting. And the moon piece, is that oil or acrylic?
It was done in oil, yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And why don't you tell us about the process of making the leggings, and how did you get the idea?
So making these leggings, it's a very interesting process. What I do is I'll start by just getting any kind of plain pair of black leggings, putting them on, and then I'll take a bleach pen, just Clorox bleach pen, and draw a bunch of little designs in them, sit down, wait for the bleach to do its thing, and then hop in the dorm showers, rinse it off, make sure there's no residual bleach left on my skin, throw them in the dryer, and they're ready to go, ready to ship out.
She sacrifices for her art. That's great. So each one you're custom making?
Yeah, each one's a little different from the next. So I don't have a lot of different leggings posted on my account. It's just the one because each one's a little bit different. So you don't know what you're going to get, but I think it makes it more interesting that way.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Now we have Jamie. Jamie has a line of beaded gowns that are so incredible. They're so fabulous. As we see here with Desi's bracelet, just gorgeous. She has so many dresses. Tell us, Jamie, how did you wind up having this collection?
The collection was because I sang. I sang opera and I sang concerts, and I would have to have a different gown or costume for each event. And I have retired from active singing. I sing for my own pleasure. But I decided that, well, actually someone here in town said, no, I think you need to go on Etsy, and that was a year ago. So that's when a diva's wardrobe started. And Corinna has very graciously decided to model something from the 30s. Actually, this is a Della Riffagetti gown and an Oleg Cassini coat and a cuff bracelet from Desi and the earrings. So you can see you can combine the beautiful vintage with contemporary. I mean, it just pops. This particular piece was from Riazi, and I call it Supernova, and you can see that from every angle it's absolutely stunning.
It really is. Wow.
I get people from all over the United States. Etsy has become a family for me. Not only women will buy my clothing, but I have a very large and loyal following of people who do drag. So a lot of my things will say drag queen attire, and it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
So
well, they're all so gorgeous.
And thank you very much for including me with all of these extremely talented artists and designers. I appreciate it.
I'm so glad that you could be a part of this. And you'll see some of her designs, which are a part of our fashion show that we did. We did a live filming. You're going to see that next, just to give you an idea of what is involved in a photo shoot if you're on Etsy or just curious. So hope you enjoy that, and very glad that you could be here to get to know all these talented Etsy shop owners. Thank you.